Hello and welcome to the We All Follow podcast. My name is Matt Fox and I'm your host. You can find me on X at Big Match Pro AFC. Today we are continuing our Euro 2024 series with the quarterfinals review and semifinals preview. Today I have regular contributor Nigel. Nigel, welcome back. Great to see you, bud.
Yeah, nice to see you, Matt.
I have regular contributor Ben. Welcome back, Ben.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, mate. It's coming home.
It's coming home, lads.
And for the first time on the show, I have the man who needs no introduction, Livz. Welcome to the show, Livz.
How you doing, peoples? We are
Awesome. Great to
here.
have you. So
Thanks, I
today we're going
appreciate
to
it.
get into the Euro 2024 quarters review. So whoever wants to take first and talk about the Spain and Germany game, what your thoughts were and how the game played out, and did it go as you expected? Who's up first?
Go on, then I'll go. I think I said that Germany were going to win. I thought it'd be closer, but I did have Germany to win. I didn't think there were going to be many goals. 1-1 after 90 minutes, pretty much. I thought it might be a 1-0 game or something like that. Played out pretty much how I thought it would, which was that Spain would have a lot of ball, but Germany had probably been more threatening, especially at home, especially creating chances. I think at the end of 90 minutes, they had actually created more chances than Spain. But yeah, then, like we said from the start, Spain's midfield, they are top draw, and keeping the likes of Rodri, etc., quiet. I mean, Fabian Ruiz he's been on a tear, hasn't he, in this Euros. So keeping them quiet is always going to be tough for 120 minutes. But then when you've got likes of Williams, Jamal, Dani Olmo, you can see why Barcelona and PSG are both trying to prize Olmo out of Leipzig. He's a quality player, and he proved to be a big difference maker. And then obviously Mikel Moreno with the header, and scoring on the same ground as what his dad scored on, like 40 years previous, doing the same celebration around the corner flag. So, it was one of them games. I'm a bit disappointed that Germany have gone out, to be fair, though, because you usually want the host to stay in and get to the semi-finals, so it keeps a bit of interest. But we've got great semi-finals coming up, so yeah.
Yeah, it was an interesting one, Livz. What did you think about the game as it unfolded, and did it play out the way you expected, or did you think that Germany was going to make it through?
You know what? I favoured Spain. I feel like, obviously, two great teams we're talking about here. You know, two teams that are technically brilliant. And I feel like it was going to be a top game. Like, I had this thought before that it's going to be a top game. You know, two teams that want to dominate position, want to dominate, control the game. But I feel like that first half, it kind of got a bit physical. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like second half it kind of grew into the game. But I feel like Spain were brilliant though. Honestly, I feel like just in all phases of the game, like they done well just to like stop Germany. I feel like they came clutch as well with that late goal. But Germany, not like I'm not taking anything away from them at the same time. I feel like obviously they had the home soil advantage, but I just feel like Spain just had that. I don't know. Just had sometimes you just need that extra factor, and I feel like Lamine Yamal having someone like him in your team, Nico Williams, like Rodri, like Pedri as well. Obviously, he got injured. Danny Olmo, like Nigel had come on. He's been top like this tournament since he's come on. Like actually been quality. Obviously, he's been rumored to go City. We don't know what's gonna happen with that. But again, like just shows the depth of the squad that they have. They've got like guys like Zubimendi on the bench. Um, had Mikel Moreno as well. Mikel Moreno, he's been decent since he's come on. At times. So yeah, I feel like for me, Spain have been the most impressive team for me this Euros. I've been impressed with them the most, and I've had them as my favourites. So at the same time, I did expect them to beat Germany, but I wouldn't have been surprised if Germany beat Spain because Germany are a top team as well. They're like up there as one of the favourites as well. So it's just my preference.
Yeah, they had a lot of good chances. Germany did for sure, and something that you kind of alluded to was the physicality of the game. Of note, both this game and the second game that day had English referees, and I thought you really saw that play out in the physicality and letting things go. Ben, what was your take on? Did you think that the referee played a role in letting things go as opposed to have a more continental style of refereeing, or do you think that both teams adapted equally to that?
Yeah, I would say so. I don't think it was too much of an issue. I think throughout the tournament, there's been like so many given cards, like so many yellow cards given in some certain games. This was definitely one that had quite a lot in. And I don't know. There's sometimes I'm like they don't give it for ones that seem more like obvious yellow, and then others that aren't a yellow at all, they get it, or like Leao getting 2 for diving and things like that. I don't know. There's just been a lot of that this tournament, and this game definitely. I remember there was quite a few in as well. So
Yeah,
that
there
would
was
be my only,
that crows
yeah,
challenge, right? That was pretty gnarly. That
yeah,
that ended up having Pedri subbed out, right?
yeah.
And
I mean,
I thought
there
that
were
was a
some bad
stonewall,
ones.
yo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was all in the first half. Like it was crazy. I wouldn't like. I didn't expect that. I thought it was gonna be like a team where they're both trying to get one up on each other tactically. You know what I'm saying? But they brought that physical side to it, that aggression, which I didn't think was needed. And obviously, unfortunately, Pedri had to come off injured, and that's his tournament done.
Mm. Yeah, so because he's one of their main players when he at his
Yeah,
very best as well.
100%. Pedri's quality players. His injuries are just that's his problem. Injuries, like he's always picking up injuries, and I feel like that's kind of halted his game.
Yeah, but I mean, I hear what you're saying, and obviously he spent a lot of time in the training table, but those it's for me it's different when you have somebody who's picking up an impact injury, like if they're getting hit or they're getting that kind of knock, right, versus like they're just running and they pull their hamstring, and that was definitely a one where it was a severe impact. I thought it should have been a yellow. It wasn't, to what you were saying, Ben. But nonetheless, he's not going to be able to play, right? But it's unfortunate that some of the best players are getting injured, and you also had Carvajal getting 2 yellows, right? So he'll miss the next match as well. um, but anything else to add on the Germany Spain game, Nigel?
No, not really. I mean, I think the guys have said it all. To be fair, I think the one thing what came out is so frustrated. Kai Havertz, man, he had 2 chances, didn't he? What he should have buried, and I can kind of forgive him for the lob, what he tried. I mean, you're running at full pace, and you've got to try and slow yourself down, still get the elevation, still get the right elevation, still be able to get it underneath the bar, but you got to slow yourself down, and you're running at full pelt. How do you slow your leg down enough to get it right? It was perfect for trying it. He's missed by what, 2 foot over the bar. And there's people saying he should have squared it to Wirtz. How can he square it to Wirtz, who's
That's what I
behind
didn't
2
understand.
players?
Yeah, I didn't get that. I don't know why people are saying that.
Crazy, man.
Even Fulkrug, when Fulkrug come on, yeah, people were making it look like, oh, we need Fulkrug on. He's a real shooter. He's the real 9. But he's come on and he missed so many chances as well. But I feel like, see with Kai Havertz, yeah, in my opinion, for someone that's not really like, I wouldn't call Kai Havertz like a world class player or like an extraordinary talent, yeah. But for someone of his caliber of player, yeah, I feel like he's got too many people obsessed with him. Like he's got too many haters. I don't understand. You would have thought like he's one of the best players in the world. Like people just over comment on everything he does. Like they over analyze his games. It's mad.
It's
Like
crazy
me,
because that
I've
full Krug
accepted
one.
Kai for what he is. I've accepted it. Do you get? I know his strengths. I know what he can do well. I know what he can't do well. Do you get? But it's like people just do too much. It's mad.
Yeah, and you know what? One thing the game showed as well, where Havertz actually looked good, was like defensively. Spain, they're not all that. When they've got when the game's against them and they've got to defend, that goal looked like it was coming. You know, the equaliser, and
Yeah.
then aerially as well. I mean, they're just not very good aerially and defending the box. So I feel like I thought Spain throughout the tournament have probably looked the best team out of everyone, the most consistent. But there's parts of them after that game I'm like, they look like they could be beaten.
Do you
So
think it's when he made the changes? Do you think it's when the coach made the
yeah,
changes and he took Lamau and Nico and that off
they
like
shouldn't have
15
taken him
minutes
off.
ago? Yeah, that's why I
Yeah,
feel
they
like they
should have
kind of
kept him on.
lost the control. And I think Germany kind of like they saw it and they thought let's just go for it and they put the pressure on and they got their goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I think understanding what Havertz is and isn't is relevant in contextualizing the player and like having like I don't want to say like lowering the bar, but he's so good at so many things, right? But he's not amazing at any one thing, right? So you have a really well-rounded player who's perhaps doesn't have like the highest of high-end talent, but people don't want to they want to ignore all the things that he's good at and just look at what he's not amazing at. And I think it's like unfair. And then Full Crew came on and he did well, but he missed that wide open header that should have gone top bins and totally changed the conversation. So there's plenty of blame to go around. And yeah, let's move on to the next one. The next match was, you know, probably potentially maybe one of the most boring matches of the whole tournament, which was the Portugal 0, France 0, France going through on penalties. Ben, why don't you take the step up to the spot and give us your breakdown on this one?
The most boring of them all, honestly. It was one of these where you've got Deschamps, he knows how to make his team hard to break down, and they're very defensive, and they've got certain players who are very physical. But to be honest, you know what I will say, actually? I've been really disappointed in Mbappe, but not enough people are talking about it. This is like international tournaments. He normally steps up for France, and he scored one goal, I think, and then he got their own goal, which ended obviously in the first game, I think it was, where it basically came from him. But you would expect when they're being so defensive, them to use him as the main outlet and him to get a few goals. But he's been like missing in games. You see him towards the end of the game. You're like, oh wait, Mbappe's still on the pitch. And Dembele came on, actually made an impact, but again, this Dembele where he's so he'll do the hard bit and get through 3 or 4 players, and then he'll just blaze it over the bar or something. And yeah, it's just frustrating to watch their team sometimes. It reminds me in ways with England, where there's so much they've got there, so many tools they've got to play like really good football, but instead it's all negative. It's defense first. But this game did show us how good William Saliba is. That is one of the biggest takeaways of that game. He's fully solidified himself as France's main centre-back and one of the most important players this Euros. And every game, he's just looked a different level to everyone else in the team. Even the guys around him that have been playing for France for way longer, he looks like the more experienced guy. And it's nice to see, because, I mean, all of us as Arsenal fans, we know he's got that about him. But to see him actually do it for France, when everyone's saying, oh, he's not France's main centre-back, and, Konate and Upamecano and all these guys are better than him, I'm like, just let him talk by playing. And that was good to see.
Did you see the pictures of him walking to the bus with the little backpack with Ronaldo inside of it? You guys see that?
Like edited. Yeah.
You missed that one? It was ridiculous. It was so bad that that people on Twitter were calling for Ronaldo to retire from international football because he was useless. But the thing is he's not actually useless. He was just covered by arguably the best center back in the world. And Arsenal fans, Arsenal fans always get shat on, right? Because we're way too online and we say crazy shit all the time. And so it's like the boy who cried wolf, right? Nobody believes us. But then you get this player in a team that's not playing in a system or whatever, and you get him in front of the world stage, and he's the real fucking deal. And now people believe that he's the real deal. Seeing him against some of the best offensive talents in the world, in Europe at least, and more than holding his own and looking like he's the senior center back when he's 22, which is crazy. But I thought Dembele was the best player when he came onto the pitch, and I thought it was kind of suspicious that Mbappe's nose started hurting right before the penalties were about to be taken. Quite like Phil Foden's groin that magically got inflamed when right before the penalty shootout. But yeah, Nigel, what did you think about this match? I know it was a little bit of a snooze fest, but do you think that France has what it takes moving forward?
You need to be aware that France are yet to score an actual goal from open play. They've scored one penalty, and I think they've had 2 own goals. That's it. So yeah, surely it's got to click going forward. But I'll refer back to the first podcast what we did about Euros. The second one we did about Euros, when I was talking to Sebastian in France, when I was in France. And me and Seb were sat watching the game. We watched the France-Austria game. And I'd said to him beforehand, I thought that France should be a team what controls the ball, but they're not. They're a team what likes to give the ball to the opposition and then just play on the transition and rely on some individual moments to create their goals. When in actual fact, they've got a team what's built to control the game. And so I kind of find it it's a bit idiosyncratic what we do. But if you've got 4 defenders, 4 centre backs, as good as what they've got, especially one of them, then you're kind of happy to give the opposition the ball, and because you don't feel threatened that the other team will score, and that's kind of what France have been doing. I mean, to be honest, if that game were played in my back garden, I would have shut the curtains and run the police and got them evicted. That's how bad it were. It was enough to put a bloke with 2 glass eyes to sleep. But yeah, and France. I actually think France have got what it takes to beat Spain, because can Spain break France down? That's a tough ask. That is a tough ask. I mean, the weakest at the back line is Upamecano, but he's probably not going to be up against Morata. They'll put Saliba on to Morata unless Morata subconsciously just drifts over to the right hand side of France's defence. And yeah, Yamal against Hernandez is the other one what could go Spain's way, but I see France holding them to nothing, and then for some reason I just think all of a sudden in that semi-final, Mbappe will come alive, bang. All it needs is that one moment.
We'll get to the semi-final previews here shortly. Livz, Netherlands 2, Turkey A1. What were your takeaways from this one?
I'll be honest with you. I didn't really watch that much. I was so excited over the England game that I completely did not watch that game.
That's all right, mate.
I just want to.
I'm sure Ben watched it. I can guarantee.
Yeah, I just want to quickly touch on the France game. Yeah, I feel like I was like, especially what Ben was saying about how Mbappe being ineffective. To his defense, though, he made a point the other day about how he don't have a Pogba that's gonna find him in certain areas, certain spaces. And when I've been watching France this Euros, like I don't see no that creative outlet in that team. I think Griezmann's meant to be the guy, but Griezmann's been poor this tournament for me. And when you look at obviously Kante being that 6/8, you've got Chouameni who just come back, Rabiot who's in that midfield at times. They're not really creative players for me. They're just like players that you just want just to be controlling the game, just hold possession, etc. Kante will be there, trying to break down opposition and that. But I feel like since Chouameni's come on, they've been a bit more controlled in terms of like on the ball. But in terms of helping attack, like nothing's been going their way. They don't have nobody really feeding them, and I feel like they're too reliant on Mbappe's individual quality, because Marcus Thuram for me, I don't think he's been good enough. Kolo Muani as well, I don't think he's been good enough. And when I look at that France bench, I mean, like you've got Giroud there, but who's going to be really feeding Giroud? You've got Youssef Fofana on there. He's not really someone that's creative. You've got Bradley Barcola, young player. I mean, another wide man yet, but they don't really want to be relying on him. Zaire Emery, he hasn't been given a chance. Coleman, so I feel like I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of profiles that Deschamps is missing, and that's exactly what they need. To be fair, and that's why for me, I feel like against Spain, I think what Spain will do, even though France's defense have been unbelievable, like Saliba, he's been colossal. Like even with Upamecano, Koundé as well has had a very good tournament. Hernandez as well. Like the best thing going for France right now is that base from the defense to the midfield. But I feel like just going forward, I don't know. That's why it'll be an interesting game against Spain because we know Spain defensively ain't the greatest, but in terms of the midfield, the attack, I think they can get goals. They can create. They can be a hazard. Nico Williams, Lamine Yamal, constant threats out wide. And I think Spain, they're gonna have to rely on some third man runs. And what's his name? Was it Mikel Moreno that scored the winner? Again, he'll be perfect in that aspect because he's a big guy. He's like a dual monster. Someone that's like he's gonna want to be in the. He's an all action midfielder. Someone that you want. So I feel like Spain have some options as well. So it will be a good game, but I won't be surprised if France get knocked out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tight one for sure. Ben, let's touch on the Netherlands Turkey game real quick before we move into the England Switzerland game that I know everybody is itching to talk about. What were your highlights on that one? I know there's been a bunch of players that you've been keeping a close eye on.
Yeah, I mean, throughout the whole tournament, Turkey have never had one game that you've not been entertained. Like that's been their main thing. Like they've been one of the most entertaining teams to watch. Um, and this was another like that. I think it was probably their least out of the lot. I would say though. Disappointed to be honest. There was some wasted chances. I think it was Atakoglu had some late on, and Yildiz wasn't. He's not really been the best this tournament as well. So he was another who was a little bit disappointing. But the moment when they scored the goal from that moment from Arda Güler out on the right side, he's got that ability to just create something out of nothing. And it was funny because the goal, I remember the commentator was saying he kept trying to get it on his left foot. He kept trying to get it on his left. And then he was like, oh, I'll just cross it with my right. And then he put this perfect cross in to the back post. And it's almost like, why do you not do that more? Like, use your right foot more if it's that good. It's frustrating at times when you've got a player who's got like that ability. And it's almost like you just need to just give him a bit of coaching with that. But in terms of just him throughout the tournament, taking on that responsibility of being the main guy when he's like, 18, 19 is just ridiculous. He's definitely a superstar in the making for them. So it's a shame that they're out, but because they were kind of for everyone, the team that everyone liked watching. But Netherlands, they knew exactly how to win that game. And as technical as so many of their players are, when it comes to it, they can just throw on the big guys because they are one of the biggest teams out there, and just hoof the ball into the box, and they will win the area. They'll win headers, and as basic as that is, like that's how they've done well in some tournaments recently. The last World Cup and Weghorst coming on and making an impact, like yeah, just that basically. That was how they were going to win that game. I definitely feel like throughout the tournament, he's not got the balance right for Netherlands, and this game was more like he was getting a bit better with the balance of having Schouten and Reinders playing together, and then Simmons ahead. That was a lot better than having Veerman and Schouten. They're both Veerman and Reinders, who are both like eights, where neither of them are the main number 10 was going to get in the box and create in the pockets like that. They both want to play a bit deeper. So it was good that he's got that balance, but there's still, they're another really disappointing tactical team. And when it came down to it, they just won by bringing on the big guy and hoofing it into the box, a really basic tactic. But Tony Pulis and Sean Dyche would be proud.
Yeah, I think you have a relatively young Turkey A team, right, where the average age is about 27, which for international tournaments is quite young, and you have them being led by Guler, who's 19, and it'll be really interesting to see. We have the World Cup here in the States in 2026, and see what Turkey can do with this experience, right? Like getting on this stage with this team, with these players, making it out of the group, making it through a knockout, getting a feel for what that feels like, and getting that experience, and then seeing how they can take that next step as potentially a dark horse for the World Cup that's going to be taking place in 2026 in the States. But seeing as Livz missed the Netherlands Turkey game because he was celebrating the England win, why don't you kick us off, Liz, with your thoughts on the England Switzerland game?
Well, for me, I'll say that's probably England's best game at the Euro so far. Um, I think first half they done well. Feel like they controlled the game better in the first half. They were looking more threatening, especially from out wide on the right due to Saka. It's brilliance, Starboy settings. But yeah, I feel like Kobe Mainoo done very well. I feel like what I liked this game was the fact that you could see Foden on the right hand side. He was more active on the right hand side, um, and Kobe was kind of pushing up a bit. And then I could see Kobe, Foden, and Saka having them little combinations. And I feel like I was in my head. I was like, yeah, we need them three a bit more close to each other, do you get? Because they're the kind of the technical players that we have that have got a bit of IQ that can make things happen. So I feel like it was working well. For me, I wasn't happy with Harry Kane. I feel like his movement wasn't good enough. I feel like it was very lazy. I feel like there was times where the midfielders got the ball, they're looking up front. There's times where Kane is even deeper than them. It didn't make sense. Sometimes I was just confused. Like, where is this guy playing? He doesn't really press as well. So yeah, I feel like, and Trippier as well. Trippier's a bit of a weakness, but Shaw's back. Um, yeah, I feel like Konsa done well. Declan Rice had a very good game as well. Um, Konsa done a good job. Stones and Walker shaky. I think they've been shaky this tournament for me. The City boys, they haven't really been up for it. Um, but yeah, like it was probably the best England game I've seen that from them this Euros. I felt like as well when Ivan took. I think when we went down 1-0 and Gareth made the subs, I feel like that was the right thing to do because bringing on Eze, Cole Palmer, I think Shaw. Was it Shaw that come on? Shaw come on as well, right? Did they come on at the same time?
Yeah, Shaw came on, Eze came on, and Palmer came on.
Palmer, yeah.
Manu came off, Trippier and Konsa came off.
Yeah, I feel like when he made them subs, it was like, okay, cool, let's go. And I feel like when we had the ballers on the pitch, that's when was kind of pressuring them, and then obviously the goal came. Saka, what a goal! Like, what a strike! That's Saka's trademark finish, and I felt like he needed that moment, not just for himself, but obviously just for everyone, really, man, especially Arsenal fans as well, because Saka gets a lot of stick from the media, you know, and I felt like that was like to shush all them critics about talking about playing him left back, which is for me absurd. Like thinking of playing Saka left back just don't make sense to me. I'm just happy that happened. Like he put that through, and the penalties as well. I actually thought England were gonna actually nick it in extra time. That's what I thought. But went to penalties. I was nervous, and I think they all done well with the penalties. I mean, Ivan Toney though, he had the balls of steel to take a penalty like that. Look at the keeper dead in the eye is mental for me. But yeah, man. Overall, I thought England done well. I think they knew how to kind of stop Switzerland. Um, Especially second half. Second half was very difficult, though, I must say. I felt like second half, Switzerland kind of like they switched it up a bit. I think they switched up the system a bit and they had more control of the game. There was times where, as soon as they lost the ball and we had the ball, there's like three, four guys pressing, charging. And I felt like it got to a point where there's like a little spell where Switzerland were kind of dominating, I'll be honest. But we done well, to kind of like not lose. Because when they went 1-0 up, wow, I thought it was done. What was it, 15 minutes left on the clock? So yeah, it was a good, and also I feel like it boosts the confidence as well. Because let's be real, the way Switzerland were playing this tournament, we all thought it's gonna be a long day for England. Do you get? So yeah, man, I think I'm happy with that, and I'm backing them to beat Holland in the semis.
Nigel, what do you think? It was a slow start. I felt, I think Liz, I think you were totally right in terms of the game totally shifting when they made the substitutes. But what did you think about the starting lineup, Nigel, and then as the game progressed, moving into the substitutes?
I'm still disappointed that Trent didn't start at right back. To be fair, I just think we're missing a massive trick at the moment. Kyle Walker's probably had his worst international tournament that he's ever had. He's been poor. He's probably been our worst player. It's a toss
Him
up
and Trippier.
between
It's
it's a toss
and
up
Kane.
between him, Trippier, and Kane. Really, as to who's been the worst. So yeah. So I'm gutted really that Trent's not signed because Trent would probably get the best out of Saka on the right, because if you think about it, Saka and Salah have got pretty similar movements, and so Trent's kind of already got a bit of an understanding of what Saka's going to do, and Saka I think knows what Trent can do. So if you look when Walker receives the ball, he just receives the ball in the wrong body position. He's facing his centre backs. The right winger's out there, and he's facing his centre backs. He's completely facing the wrong way. So ball never gets to Saka quick enough. It's not ironic that we looked most at threatening once Shaw was in at left back, Trippier's in at right, and Trippier's in at right, and all of a sudden we look a bit better. But yeah, I mean, I'm still not convinced on Kobbie Mainoo. I don't think he's the right player to play next to Rice. He's not a deep attacking build-up player. He's not a 10. I don't think he's a 10 either. He's like Sambilla Conga, where he's probably an 8, but he's an 8 who needs to be with the ball forward. And so he's kind of stuck in a hole where he's not really doing anything. He's not really affecting the game. Yeah, he has some nice little touches now and again. I think we should have Wharton next to Rice, and I think that Gordon should be on the left and no Foden. Simple. You've got to hold width. In international football, the best teams hold width. Is there no surprise that Spain are doing the best when they've got 2 wingers who literally have got the boots wide because they are as wide as possible? It's not rocket science. Stay wide, make the pitch as wide as possible, and then when you've got the likes of Bellingham, and if you played Wharton and Rice, they both crash the box. But when you've got the pitch so wide, it gives Bellingham, etc., more space, and I think it's just what we've lost. But in terms of the game itself against Switzerland, I thought we did pretty well. To be fair, we matched up against them. We dominated the ball. Field tilt showed that we were the team what were really pushing the game towards their net. But we needed to go a goal down before we actually stepped up the gear. And then when we stepped on the gas and we moved the ball a bit quicker, unsurprisingly, it's Declan Rice getting the ball and quickly seeing that Saka's only got his one-on-one, so getting him the ball, bang, goal. It's how it works. So yeah, it's a few changes I'd make. It's just they're the few changes I'd make for the next game. When we're playing the Netherlands, I'd play Gordon. I'd want him as wide as possible, because if they're playing Denzel Dumfries at right back, Gordon's going to have a field day, because Dumfries will get caught up the field. Gordon stays high and wide, done. I think Saka will get the better of Ake. I just think that'll happen. I think if he squares him one-on-one, he'll get the better of him. And I just think I've got a sneaky feeling this is going to be the game where Harry Kane puts some Tottenham hoodoo onto Liverpool's Van Dijk, like he had done before in previous years. So yeah, it's a few tweaks. Kyle Walker's got to be dropped. Got to play Trent, surely.
Ben, I think we saw a big change when Trippier came off and Shaw came on, and just the way that Shaw can receive the ball along the sideline with his left foot and not have to totally contort his body and face Pickford to receive the ball and bring it back out, right? Like, and additionally, Livz, you were talking about Harry Kane again playing in midfield, right? You know, we have these players who, for whatever, Shaw has been injured. Kane has been not rotated at all. Ben, what do you think about the impact of Shaw coming into this, assuming that he's going to start the next game, right? And do you see there being a space for Kane to be rotated to get some different stretching? Because you were talking about the width, Nigel. One thing that I was concerned about is height, right? Not the physical height, but in terms of stretching the pitch further and having a nine who will run off of the back. When you have three at the back and essentially the five in midfield, don't you kind of need somebody to be playing off of the back shoulder to keep the spacing right? Ben, what was your take on that? And do you think they'll make that adjustment, or am I dreaming?
Do I think they'll do it? No. Kane is the one player that he could do. He could be completely useless all game, and he'll start. Like it's a given. Southgate wouldn't do that. This part of the issue I have with Southgate is he's not got the balls to make the right decisions. He's putting it basic, but there's certain times where, because the player is a big name, he will always start them no matter how bad they've been throughout the tournament. Guys that have come off the bench like Gordon, Palmer, Eze have looked way more effective and created a better dynamic than Foden and even Bellingham. And Bellingham's different because he's still delivered moments. He's got that about him where he could deliver a big moment, and he does a lot of the defensive work. But with Foden, a lot of the time, he's given so much freedom to roam about. And I think Foden's a very good player, but I think the system that we have it's all wrong to me. I think if he was going to play in general, his better role is coming off the right, but he's not better than Saka at that. So when you put him in the team, okay, you can maybe put him as a 10, but then the issue there is, what, if you put Bellingham deeper, or do you put Bellingham on the left, or that's not his position? So the stuff you mentioned about with Shaw, like, it's such a surprise bringing a guy in to play his position that it works. What a surprise. Like, that's been the issue throughout. You've got Trippier playing on the left as a left back. He just doesn't look comfortable there. He receives it. We're on the attack and he gets it down on the right and the left side, and he wants to come inside all the time. It just completely takes the pace out of that attack when there was an opportunity for him to take it down the line and cross it in or something like that. But from the point of view of the dynamics in the team, then there's obvious changes that should be made that I just don't think will be. When I look at, with Walker, if we're still not going to play Trent, to me it's obvious you've got to play Trent. Like, Trent, we're the only nation in the world that would not start Trent Alexander-Arnold. Like, the level of ability he has on the ball, and people just moan about him defensively. All right, well, don't rely on him defensively. If we were going to play a back five, that's a perfect time to have someone like him as a wing back, because then you got Walker covering for him, or Konsa. And Konsa, for me, like, he's been really good when he's come in, and he deserves a start, but he won't get it. I just don't think he'll get it, even though I think he's shown more than Walker and Trippier. So if you're going to go for, like, in terms of the best performing defense, it would probably be Konsa, Shaw, Mark Gehi, and Stones. And Stones only starts because there isn't another guy there. Or you put Konsa at right centre back, and then you put Trent on the right, which would make more sense. But I definitely think having someone like Trent will really help Saka against Ake, because I think Ake defensively 1v1 is very good. But Saka will need the overlap, and it will need that creative player there. The two of them is going to be I don't think any left back or left side defense can deal with that. And then there's a couple of things for me, like what Nigel was saying about Gordon and Foden. For me, Foden gets so much freedom to roam. If we were going to give that to one player, it would be Palmer for me, because I think Palmer's got the passing to really make a difference, whereas Foden's not really that. He's more the guy who will, float around the box and then have shots. He'd be a high shot volume player and score goals, but we have that in Bellingham. So you need more of a more creative player to do that, and we lack that in midfield and out wide as well. So I think that would be something there. It's got to be Gordon or it's got to be Palmer that would come in for Foden, but I just don't think it's going to happen. And then lastly as well there's been a bit of a thing with Mainu, and I think it's just he played very well, but the dynamic isn't right to me. When you've got Mainu, at one point we had Mainu, Eze, Foden, Bellingham, Rice all on the pitch, and all of them want to carry the ball. No one wants to pass the ball there. They all want to carry the ball. So we lack that in the team, having more passes. So I think that's an obvious thing that they need to change. But despite all the mess that England is and people playing out of position, Saka played right wing back and was still England's best player. Like, I don't know what more he has to do, but to come deliver that moment and then score your penalty, and yeah, what a player, man. You're muted, by the way.
Oh, that's awkward. A generational player, talisman of this English team, and he's ours. He's our player. So we're really lucky, blessed to have him at Arsenal. Follow us on X at We All Follow Pod, and let's move to the last segment of today's episode, which is going to be the 2024 Euros semifinals picks. So we'll start with you, Livz. We'll all do the Spain-France game, and then we'll all pick the Netherlands-England game. Livz, who do you got for the Spain-France game? Who's gonna get the win? Livz is on mute. All right, we will cut that, and let's go to Nigel.
Sorry, boys. I'm back. Sorry.
It's all right. I'm going for France 2, Spain 0.
Wow.
Are they open play goals?
I think they'll both be open play goals within 90 minutes. And I reckon that at the end of that game, Saliba will get zero praise whatsoever. Everyone will be loving Kylian Mbappe for his 2 goals. But the actual story behind it is the fact that Saliba has completely shut Spain down and they can't get anywhere.
All right, Ben, who do you got? Spain, France?
I can't call it, man. I think these two are a clash of styles where Spain are very attacking, very well organised in the press, and France are stubborn defensively, hard to break down, and they've got outlets. I think France will get a result because I think the physicality that France have and the outlets they've got with Mbappe and Dembele or whoever they go with, Barcola, I think they'll cause Spain a lot of problems defensively. But I don't think there'll be many goals. I feel like it's just going to be like I think it will be a 1-1, and then it will go to extra time, and maybe you get a goal or it goes to penalties and France win. It's something like that. I don't think there will be two. I don't think France will get 2 goals in the open play of the full 90 minutes.
The reason why I said that, yeah, is because I'm sure that Didier Deschamps is literally right now watching that Georgia versus Spain game, where they was just annihilating them on the transition, weren't they? They were just levering balls up the wings to Kvaratskhelia and Minkatadze on the through the middle, and that's all they need to do. And if you think about it,
yeah.
If instead of Kvaratskhelia, Minkatadze or Kakabadze, it's Mbappe and Dembele and N'Golo Kante flying up through the midfield as the trailer, and Kolo Muani through the middle, I just think it's different. I think it's different. And France aren't Georgia at the back. That's all I was saying.
Yeah, definitely. I think that side of it defensively. I look at Yamal against. I know he's saying he's against Hernandez, but then when he gets past Hernandez, Saliba is going to be there. And then from the other side, you've got Williams against Koundé. And when he gets past Koundé, there'll be probably Upamecano or whatever. And then midfield-wise, Spain got a lot of players that really intelligent movement. But if they go and play Tchouaméni and Kante or Camavinga in there as well, I don't think they're going to get through that. I think they might be able to nick a goal on transition because they're just as good at that. But generally, I can't see a lot of goals in it. But France will win for me.
Livz, who's winning?
I'm gonna go over 2-1 Spain win. I don't know. I just feel like Spain. I don't know. They just got too much constant threats going on in that team, and I just feel like I don't know, man. I've been rooting for Spain for time now. I don't know. I feel like for me, France's best bet in getting a result is obviously hitting the way they can hit Spain on the break. And also they got to be very lethal in attack. I don't think they've shown to me this Euros that they've got killers in the attack, because the amount of chances these lot have been squandering has been a joke. And I feel like with Spain, you've got to punish them. If you want to beat Spain, you can't afford to be missing these chances, because one thing with Spain, they will create chances. They will make things happen. You get, regardless. So yeah, for me, I want to go over Spain win.
All
2-1
right, for
win.
me, I've
2-1.
got 2-1 France winning. They'll score early. Spain will equalize right before halftime, and then France will hit them on the counter in like the 83rd minute, and France will move on to the final. And let's go for the England-Netherlands game. Ben, is it coming home?
It's coming home.
Uh-huh.
Of course, man. It's coming home. Yeah, forget Netherlands, man. It's coming home. That's all I'm saying. No. I think with England, the positive thing is we're finding a way to win, even though I feel like we haven't clicked. And we have this a lot of tournaments. It's like, will we ever click? To be honest, I think the World Cup we played better in the group stage. We actually looked quite good a lot of the time. There wasn't the issue with like Shaw and the left back issue. Sorry. And it had people like Rashford as well who'd actually run in behind, so there was a better balance in attack. But yeah, I think now it just depends whether Southgate's going to make the changes. I think if he does, we'll definitely get a result, and we could even get a result in the final if he makes the changes. But if he doesn't, I think we'll get through and then lose in the final. But it depends who we play. I think if Spain go through, I'm confident. If France do, they're
Seriously,
full
I'm
of.
the other way around.
The thing is with France, right? I get it. I get why, but they're just full of winners, and they've done it before, and they're very good defensively. So if we're not on it, it's going to be harder to break down them. I'm getting ahead of myself. We might not even get past
this
this
is
stage.
semifinals preview talk. So let's.
So just ignore all of that. Yeah.
So Livz, obviously you have England going through. What's your score on that one?
I'm gonna go over 4-1 England victory.
All right. Well,
he's in the spirit of '96.
Oh, England! They beat them in it 96.
4-1, beating 4-1.
Yeah. I remember that. Who was playing for them times? Clivert and that. Clivert.
No, that was when
Danny
Shearer and
Flynn
Sheringham got a couple each, didn't they? Shearer banging them.
Gaza was there. I remember that. Euro 90. I remember watching videos of that Euro 96. Crazy. But yeah, I'm going with a 4-1 win still. I feel like I don't know. I feel like there's too much confidence right now. But obviously, again, with what Nigel was saying, we've got to add pace into that attack. You get me? So adding Gordon, that will help us a lot. Personally, I would drop Kane. I will probably start a Watkins or Tony, just to keep us a bit more flowing in attack. Yeah, and I feel like honestly, when I look at Holland, I'm not really too phased of coming up against the likes of Memphis Depay or Cody Gakpo. I mean, they're decent players, but they're not players that really frighten me. Xavi Simons is a good talent, but I feel like we can stop him. But yeah, other than that, I'm not really I don't know where the threat's gonna come from. Like, who am I meant to be worried about when I look in that Dutch team? Like, who should I be aware of? Because I don't look at anyone in that team and be like, okay, you know what, they can cause us trouble. Because I feel like with the base that we currently have, I think we can stop them. I honestly think we can stop this Holland team. Remember, this is a Holland team that's missing the likes of Frankie, they're missing Timber. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I'm not really too sold on them, honestly. And I feel like Turkey were unlucky to beat them anyways.
Nigel, what do you think? Who you got?
I had a voice note from my Dutch friend this morning. He said, "Let battle commence." I replied to him and said, "There will be no battle, but the people in orange will be leaving Germany from Wednesday." I think England will win. I think they'll win. I can't. It's another one. I don't see the Dutch scoring. Yes, Javi Simons is probably their biggest threat to us. I'd be interested to see if Joey Veerman plays instead of Schoten. To be fair, Veerman instead of Schoten just gives them a little bit more balance, I think, in midfield. But I just don't see Cody Gakpo troubling us. I don't see Depay troubling us. I think we can get around them. I think their wing backs will probably cause them the most trouble because they play three at the back and then they play their wing backs. And I think if their wing backs get caught upfield and we do play high and wide, we could end up with a lot of 3v3s or 4v3 overloads against their defenders. And it'd be interesting. I wonder if they'll play Mickey van der Ven. I think they might play Van der Ven at the side of Van Dijk and De Vrij and play Ake as a wide left back, which would be interesting if they did. But yeah, I think England will win.
All right.
What's the score prediction? What's your score prediction?
What's your score? Yeah.
I'll go 2-0 again.
All right. Who's your scores?
I think Bukayo Saka scores again. I think Harry Kane will score. I said that earlier. I said Kane will score.
You called the big Kane game.
A big Kane game against Van Dijk.
Do you know what's mad as well? Yeah, they've got Xerxes on the bench, but they haven't really been giving him minutes like that.
Yeah, he only just came on the bench the last game. That's the first time he's played.
Yeah, that's crazy. I still find that mad. And obviously they got Bergwijn. I mean, Bergwijn. It's the Spurs, isn't it?
Absolutely. I've got a 2-0 England. I think Rice will finally get his screamer that he's been aiming for throughout this tournament.
We need that.
Almost, didn't it? The last game, almost. There was that moment.
He had won the game before. He's had a few that were near misses, and then I think Jude steps up and says, "Who else?" So I got Jude and Deckers on the 2-0 England win, and it'll be an interesting route onto the final. So thanks for joining us today, boys. We'll be back after these fixtures to do a preview of the final and the Copa America final as well, because those will both be on this coming Sunday, the 14th. So great to have you on, guys. Join us all in our Discord. Hit us up on X, and we'll see you guys soon. Thanks for joining.